Hey, folks. Today's episode is brought to you by one of my favorite sponsors, sunsetlakesebede.com. Use the code LEFTISBEST. You get 20% off. What can you get at Sunset Lake? Well, you can get all sorts of Sebede products, including they have new Solve like sticks, I guess. Solve with lidocaine, Solve with arnica. They have pre-rolls. They have vapes. They have flour and keef. They have fudge and coffee. They have tinctures, all sorts of tinctures that help you sleep. They have gummies that help you relax, gummies that help you focus, gummies that have a little bit of THC in them, even a little bit of Delta 9. And one of the things that you may not know about sunsetlakesebede.com is that if your order is over $75, they ship for free. And if you create an account on sunsetlakesebede.com, you can start earning reward points and earn 10% back on all your purchases. You can also refer your friends to Sunset Lake Sebede, send them a coupon on their first order, and earn $10 store credit with every successful referral. And you're going to feel good about spreading the word about sunsetlakesebede.com. Why? Because they are movement partners. They have supported things like carceral reform, criminal justice, food insecurity. They have donated thousands of dollars to food pantries and refugee resettlement, workers' strike funds, refugee relief, Planned Parenthood, on and on and on. They got great business practices and they got great farming practices, integrated pest management, no pesticides, regenerative farming practices. sunsetlakesebede.com. Use the code LEFTISBEST for 20% off. And now it is time for the show.
The Majority Report with Sam Seder, where every day's Casual Friday. That means Monday is Casual Monday, Tuesday, Casual Tuesday, Wednesday, Casual Hump Day, Thursday, Casual Thurs, that's what we call it, and Friday, Casual Shabbat. The Majority Report with Sam Seder.
It is Friday, July 11th, 2025. My name is Sam Seder. This is the 5-time award-winning Majority Report. We are broadcasting live steps from the industrially ravaged Gowanus Canal in the heartland of America, downtown Brooklyn, USA. On the program today, Kyle Kulinski of the Kyle Kulinski Show, and also of Crystal and Kyle and Friends. Also on the program today, members of this space, the new cooperative YouTube channel. We'll be talking to Ben Dixon. We'll be talking to Matt Strackbine, Andrea Rovenski, and Matt, of course, is the Letterhack. Also on the program today, Trump announces 35% tariff on Canada to start August 1. But it's not such a firm. It's firm, but not too firm. Also, he sent letters to people. Meanwhile, Israel kills 15 people outside U.S.-run health center in Gaza, including 8 children. That adds to the nearly 800 killed while receiving food aid. State Department to fire 1,300 people. Protesters battle ice thugs at a California cannabis farm as ice morale sinks to its level of its applied morals. FBI using polygraph tests to test loyalty to Trump. Mahmoud Khalil files a $20 million lawsuit against the Trump regime. And Ken Paxton's wife claimed he committed adultery on a biblical scale. Missouri governor repeals paid sick leave law approved by voters and confirmed by the state Supreme Court. And lastly, new reports Joni Ernst may be retiring. All this and more on today's Majority Report. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so much for joining us. It is Casual Friday. I got a little bit of earplug situation going on over there. Oh, look who's here. It's Emma Vigil.
Hi. Hello. Hello, Sam. Casual Friday. Yes,
Casual Friday. And what a week. What a week here and of the news. We're watching ICE now just ramp it up. They've been doing so continually. This comes amidst new polling, which we'll talk about with Kyle Kulinski, that shows American support, not just for what they're seeing, but their support for immigrants has gone up. Their support for what they're seeing from ICE has gone down.
Trump's approval rating on immigration is really low right now. Not that the Democrats, you would hear that from the Democrats, but it's exceptionally low.
And we'll talk to Kyle about this, but it just simply proves the point that none of this stuff is static, right? And that it actually makes a difference what the political parties articulate. And but it is because people are starting to see that, and there's a big story in the Atlantic Monthly about the morale at ICE. Not with all, hashtag not all ICE officers, but definitely some at ICE are starting to feel a little bummed that all they're doing is picking up grandma and cuffing her, and B, when they do, Stephen Miller's waiting back at the office going, why aren't there two grandmas here? But here is some footage that's came out of California yesterday. This is in Camarillo, California. Which one of these should we start with? One
this
or two?
Is one here.
Yeah,
okay.
This is disturbing. For people watching on podcasts, they're turn it down slightly, I think. They're tear gassing the workers here. Terrorizing them.
Too.
Children, yes.
They took your mom?
Unbelievable. Here is an aerial shot of that same incident.
Of that is that there are questions of how humanely this is being handled. Whether these people who are maybe here illegally, but whether they're being offered or can be pointed in the direction of a path to citizenship. There certainly is that criticism. But you also have Republicans at the same time accusing Democrats and those on the left of amplifying this rhetoric against federal agents and ICE agents. So we're seeing this finger pointing.
All right, Julia, we may have to step away really quickly here. The situation at the farm has escalated. It looks like a lot of tear gas.
Oh, pause it for a second. Hold on. Why would this news lady say those things about these federal workers? Why would she say these mean things about ICE? Escalation. This is dangerous for those federal. I mean, there could be a mom down there who might take a cannabis plant and smack one of those military-clad federal officers with a cannabis plant.
I mean,
the rhetoric.
Can you maybe
They're rolling through communities with tear gas canisters, and we're talking about the rhetoric.
Yeah, what's most important are the ICE Gestapo's feelings. I feel the same way as when I read those articles about the low morale in the IDF. Like, oh, my heart bleeds for you as you rip apart families and ruin lives.
Yeah, what do you think you were getting into?
Really quickly here, the situation at the farm has escalated. It looks like a lot of tear gas and whatever this green smoke is as well. And
probably know
a protester threw something
what our
toward
government
the
is spraying us with.
officers
Probably.
there, but a lot of cars turning around and exiting. So it looks like something happened that forced that crowd to turn and run. Rich, are you still? Yeah.
Yeah, so as we're listening to the radio chatter down here, the fire department actually had to leave this zone and head back to their where they have set up a command center for treatment for the civilians. And they said that they needed to leave the area because the crowd was starting to get a little more hostile. So for the safety of the fire department, they have left this zone here on Laguna Road. And then shortly after that is when we started seeing the tear gas and the flashbangs and the pepper balls being fired back towards the crowd. But the crowd was also picking up items, rocks, whatever I guess they can find on the ground, and starting to throw them back towards federal agents, which is just going to create an even more volatile situation here between agents and the community members. And they at some point are just going to continue to push this crowd further and further away from.
God. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Here is here's Tom Homan on Fox and Friends this morning, trying to defend his work. And as far as I can tell, I mean, I'm no criminal defense attorney, but I suspect that his definition of reasonable suspicion is a little bit thin.
I've got to get your reaction to this Biden-appointed federal judge out in Los Angeles, apparently expected today to issue a temporary restraining order halting your lawful operations. She says, I think it's important for the court not to burden otherwise lawful law enforcement activities. Your reaction there?
Look, people need to understand, ICE officers and Border Patrol, they don't need probable cause to walk up to somebody, briefly detain them, and question them. They just need the totality of the circumstances, right? They just got through the observation, you know, get articulable facts based on the location, the occupation, their
Pause it for a
appearance.
second. I mean, first off,
Jesus,
this guy Mumbles here is saying that you don't need probable cause to stop and detain people. And the fact is you need reasonable suspicion. It can't just be, we want to do it. And he's trying to argue that they have reasonable suspicion, but go back a little bit. You know, it's hard to sort of make out what he's saying because
I know
let's get subtitles. The AI overheated.
He sounds like in My Fair Lady, where she has all those mumbles in her mouth trying to enunciate, but that's just his. And this is a very timely reference by me, anyway.
But he starts to go on like that the way they look now. There's you can, if you see somebody pacing in front of a bank, right? And maybe looking to a car that is idling in front of the bank and looking inside and looking around furtively, that becomes a basis of reasonable suspicion. But that's a function of looking at the person and assessing their behavior in some way. What this guy is starting to sort of list off here ends up being things like status. And so if you're a brown person who is working a weed whacker, that is not reasonable suspicion that you're an immigrant if you would not approach a white person using a weed whacker.
I mean, I'm not trying to do a spoiler alert thing here, but he literally says how they look in 15 seconds. Yeah.
People need to understand, ICE officers and Border Patrol, they don't need probable cause to walk up to somebody, briefly detain them, and question them. They just need the totality of the circumstances, right? They just got through the observation, you know, get articulable facts based on the location, the occupation, their physical appearance, their actions. Like a uniformed Border Patrol agent walks up to them at for instance, a
All right,
Home
pause
Depot,
it for 1 second.
and
There you had it. Their occupation and their physical appearance.
Yep.
And accent.
I mean,
That's just racial profiling.
It is racial profiling. And first off, let's be clear. Like, there are a lot of immigrants who are here overstaying their visas. There are Europeans. There are, someone like Elon Musk at one time was in this country, and there's reason to believe without proper documentation. What occupation did he have that would have been reasonable suspicion to detain him? This is racial profiling. And then they go on to say, and if we approach them and they run away, you get thugs coming out in unmarked cars, masked. I got news for you. If you're a white person, you might have reason to run. If you are a person of color and masked thugs come out of a car and start to attack you without identification, without license plates, did we see what was marching in Lexington? Was it in Louisville or Lexington, Kentucky, on July 5th?
Louisville.
Yeah.
Marching down the street to Louisville, masked thugs. Running away from an unmarked, unidentified, masked thug is not indicative that you may be anything other than a reasonable person worried about what's going on.
A security guy assassinated 2 lawmakers in Minnesota dressed up as a cop.
And he says briefly detained. That footage that we just saw there, are they briefly detaining them or are they terrorizing? And that boy was saying they took my mom and tear gassing them. That's not what they're doing. They're not briefly detaining them. They're brutalizing them.
All right, good.
Get articulable facts based on their location, their occupation, their physical appearance, their actions. Like a uniformed border policeman walks up to them at for instance, a Home Depot. And they got all these articulable facts, plus the person walks away or runs away. Agents are trained. What they need to detain somebody temporarily and question them. It's not probable cause, it's reasonable suspicion. We're trained on that. Every agent, every 6 months get Fourth Amendment training over and over again. These officers are really good at what they do. And if the judge make a decision that's against what these officers are trained, what the law is based upon, then they're going to shut down operation. I think that's your end game. They want ICE to stop doing this, but if they base it on the rule of law, they're going to find out Border Patrol and ICE is doing exactly what they're going to do in accordance with law.
And you're not going to stop coming. Tom Homan, thank you for getting up.
Oh, great. He's not going to stop coming.
And here's the one of the key facts about this is that there is very little opportunity for people to file charges or to push back against those instances where they don't follow the rule of law. That is the point. They are acting and functioning outside of a normal judiciary system. Yeah. And the opportunities here for there to be any type of legal processes to push back on this are extremely limited.
Well, they have now basically, within a 6-month period, formalized racial profiling as federal policing policy, essentially. And we saw this, we were talking about this at the beginning of the administration, how they were using gang databases and gang ties to basically call people criminals. Not that they're even bothering with that at this point. That seems quaint. But what they were building off of was decades of broken windows policing and what Black and brown communities in this country, stop and frisk, have been experiencing their whole lives in many ways, but they've federalized it here. Yep. This is stop and frisk on the national level, and worse than that. It's throwing folks into these detention centers. And Tom Homan, we get it. You're probably going to get rich from the private prison industry here, but there's a lot of folks that are quietly, I think, connected to this mass incarceration policy and are getting rich off of it right now. And
there's reports about Stephen Miller having investments in these things.
Palantir especially. And just to highlight one incident, Andrea Jose Hernandez Romero, the hairdresser, still at CCOP.
a torture chamber. And we know now from Kilmar Abrigo Garcia's account through his lawyer that they tortured them. And we saw in Alligator Alcatraz, that Florida concentration camp down there, they're borrowing from them. The accounts from the people who are being housed there, there was a local report that we played from CBS Miami yesterday where they called and said that they're keeping the lights on all night. They're taking the tactics from the torture chamber in Seacott and doing it on U.S. soil.
All right. In a moment, we're going to talk to Kyle Kulinski about this and more. But first, a word from our sponsor, one of Emma's favorites. Oh, she wants to be off screen for this one. Why? Because old school luxury things like a Bugatti, something shiny, well, kind of wasteful. Doesn't actively change your life. New school luxury, restorative, transformative, essential every day. What am I talking about? Bidets are the new Bugattis, ladies and gentlemen. I've talked many times about how a bidet has changed my life, but I don't have the ability to get one of those fancy, $7,000 Japanese imported bidets. Although I have used them, I've seen them. I don't even have the ability to get the one that I broke at Tim Pool's office. But I do have the ability to get a Tushy. Yes. Hello Tushy is the everyday luxury bidet that instantly transforms your bathroom habits and bottom health for life. And now they don't just have the non-electric bidets. Aura is Tushy's brand new electric bidet with an auto open lid and seat, instant warm water that never runs cold, and UV sterilization for next level hygiene. Aura by Tushy easily attaches to your existing toilet without the need for additional plumbing. Tushy pristinely removes 99% of bacteria while protecting your natural skin barriers thanks to one natural ingredient. What is it? Fresh water. If you have dirt on your hands, what do? Do you just take a piece of paper and rub it around your hand? Is it clean? And then no, you use water. Installation is simple. It takes about 10 minutes to complete. This is actually true. It is super easy to put this on. If you've ever changed out a toilet seat, you can connect this one. Literally anybody can do it. Tushy Bidet gives you a 2-to-1 in benefits, reducing irritation with soothing water. Also, very easy to use. Sit, cleanse, and dry using the built-in air dryer with the Aura. That's right. Cleaning yourself after using the bathroom is now hands-free. Every Hello Tushy Bidet comes with a 30-day hassle-free return and a 12-month warranty. I want to thank Tushy for sponsoring this episode. I want to thank them for. I had a Tushy 1, a Tushy 3, and a Tushy Wave. None of them were electric, and I can tell you I love it, but I'm thinking about if I could figure out a way getting power to this, I'm going to do this. Elevate your comfort every day for life. For a limited time, our listeners get 10% off their first bidet order when you use the code TMR at checkout. That's 10% off your first bidet order at hellotushy.com, promo code TMR. Again, 10% off your first bidet order at hellotushy.com with promo code TMR. Quick break, and then we'll be talking to Kyle Kulinski. We are back. Sam Seder, Emma Vigeland. It's Casual Friday. Want to welcome back to the program Kyle Kulinski, host of the Crystal Kyle and Friends show and the Kyle Kulinski Show. Kyle Kulinski, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I just got to say, because of the ad I just did, folks are writing in about making sure that you use a GFCI outlet for anything that is near water in your bathroom. And yes, I think we all know that. That's an obvious thing.
I'm glad we got that out of the way.
Yes,
I did not know that, and I would have electrocuted my butthole, but thanks for telling me.
There you go. Be careful.
You know, what this show needs is more bidet talk. That's what the show needs.
I think it's got to be, I think those outlets, though, honestly, it's code at least 24 inches. Anything within 24 inches of water has got to be a one of those outlets because it has an automatic circuit breaker.
They'll get rid of that rule soon, too, though. They're working on deregulating that as we speak.
Exactly. We don't need those type of regulations.
That's how you're going to die, Sam. Electrocuted on the toilet from your bidet.
I can think of a lot worse ways to go. All right, let's get into this. We're watching, of the many things that were horrific in that bill that passed a week or two ago, the immigration thing, I think, is going to be the thing that we feel most dramatically over the coming, 6 months. I mean, ICE right now has something like, what was the number of employees that work at ICE? I had this here. It is fascinating to see how dramatic this budget, 20,000 employees at ICE right now. They're going to increase the size of ICE by 50%. They are pulling guys who worked in like major crimes unit at ICE, like dealing with, cartels and big drug runners. They're pulling them off now to arrest moms or grandmothers. What are you anticipating with this, Kyle?
I mean, I'm anticipating what we're seeing now ramped up tenfold. I think that with a budget of like $170 billion, they're not exactly hiding the fact that I think they're going to start very openly and brazenly going after not only legal immigrants as they already are, but I think American citizens. I mean, Trump has openly said multiple times that we got the homegrowns. We got to get rid of these homegrowns. They're a problem. And so we already got a report that about 70 American citizens were deported in Trump's first term. And I would venture a guess that we're at least at a couple hundred or maybe over 1,000 already because he's treating ICE like his Gestapo. That's what it is. Now the ICE budget is bigger than like the Israeli military budget. What are you planning on doing with all those personnel? And by the way, they're also like deputizing Proud Boys and white nationalists to be the ICE Gestapo. They're pulling over random cars on a Tennessee highway. I covered a story on that recently. And I mean, you see what they're doing. They're going into doctors' offices and Walmarts and Home Depots, and just expect this in every city. Trump's now saying the next ones are New York and DC, where he's going to try to do the same sort of federal crackdown like we're witnessing in LA right now.
It's sort of fascinating to me. We were talking to someone from LA Taco, which was a online like foodie site focused on tacos and community reporting that have basically become a clearinghouse for all of these reports about ICE and all of the stuff that's happening in LA. And the host, Memo, I can't remember his last name, but Memo Torres was talking about how like so much of this stuff does not get reported outside of even just their website, never mind on the local news. And that to me is sort of shocking. I mean, when you think about how much the Trenta Agua, which we never hear about anymore, all of a sudden they just, melted away. But how much we heard about that versus, what is actually happening in terms of so-called criminal enforcement.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it is truly, truly difficult to keep up because every day there's another like 12 different absolute horror stories. I mean, I'm still thinking of the 288 people who were rounded up and sent to a concentration camp in El Salvador. No due process whatsoever. 90% of them have no criminal record whatsoever. Somebody had a tattoo for his brother with autism, and they said it was a gang tattoo, and they sent him there. Somebody had a mom and dad tattoo, and they said that's a gang tattoo, and they sent him there. I mean, how many stories like this are out there now? We just got word that we already have an innocent person who was sent to Alligator Alcatraz, as they call it. A person had no criminal record whatsoever. They didn't fill out, they like forgot to fill out one form for their immigration paperwork, and now they're being sent there. And look, I mean, I think they're going to continue down this path, and they're going to create more effectively concentration camps. If you are throwing out due process, throwing out habeas corpus, rounding up whoever you want and locking them up, then there's no other thing to call that but a concentration camp. So, I mean, I truly fear for the future of this country. I don't see how we get out of this without having basically like new Nuremberg trials and locking up Stephen Miller and locking up Kristi Noem and returning rule of law, because this is the most lawless thing I've ever seen. I mean, this is like looking at what Bush did overseas. This is like the imperial boomerang, where now it's come back to our country, and they're even escalating it here.
Yes, it's, I think, really important to put it in the context of the war on terror. You know, we would not be in this situation if, well, first of all, ICE was a creation of like the post 9/11 world war on terror kind of expansion of the surveillance state and of like federalizing this kind of policing. But it is a failure of the Democrats, who didn't seek accountability for the war criminals in the Bush administration, and who kind of continued this level of just rolling back of rights, or didn't at least aggressively attempt to curtail it. And we're in this situation in part because of the expansion of the national security state after 9/11.
Yeah, I mean, the Democrats, you know, refusing to prosecute Bush, refusing to prosecute Cheney, making torture just a matter of opinion. Obama saying we look forward, we don't look backwards. That then made it just a difference of opinion as to whether or not your administration tortures. And now we've gone further than that. And now it's, when it comes to due process and habeas corpus, that's just a matter of opinion. And I guess the thing that shocks me the most is the lack of the hair on fire approach. I mean, this truly is a hair on fire moment. And the immigration numbers are plummeting for Trump, even with the Democrats not talking much about immigration, which showed, now imagine they also were fighting hard on that. I honestly think the media, some of the media coverage of Kilmar Brego Garcia was a lot of what led to those numbers going 100%. The direction they did, because that was one that
Chris Van Hollen going down there.
Yeah. And God bless him for it. And God bless any Democrat who is fighting on this. But I still think there's many Democrats at the top of the party who feel like, let's tread carefully, because this is generally an issue where Trump had higher poll numbers, and so we don't want to step on any toes.
I think that's exactly right. I mean, I just wanted to, because I do want to pivot to that conversation, but I just also want to say, like, you know, you look at those images of ICE essentially attacking that soccer field and successfully intimidating the cones that were on there, and I think the net looked like they were going to go the straight and narrow. And surely those kids at that playground were terrified. But if you look at the gear that they're using, like, I mean, they look like they could be walking down the streets of Fallujah. And it's like, where are the, like, why? Like, you know, like, why are they, this is such an industry. And it's so much of that, like you say, the imperial blowback. This is all came from programs where used equipment or overbought equipment for the military during the Iraq War. There was a specific program set up to send it back to police departments. And now it's almost like it's not even a special program. It is just part of the whole thing. We're going to gear these guys up like they're going into an active firefight. And I'm sorry, there's no protest that makes this equipment necessary. There's no rolling up on a guy with a weed whacker or a, you know, mom working at a taco truck that requires this kind of gear. It's insane. It is absolutely insane. And it's insane how there doesn't seem to be any, like, you know, pushback. You've got, we were just listening to that report from California, and on one hand, you know, ICE officers are worried about their safety. Are you kidding me?
I mean, it's at the point now where the cruelty and the sadism is the point, right? Like, they've raided schools and meat packing facilities and farms and Home Depots and 7-Elevens, and they deported a 4-year-old American citizen with cancer and no medicine. A woman was arrested immediately after she gave birth. A U.S. Marshal was arrested. I mean, like, it's a horror show is what it is. And if this doesn't really motivate all of us to get up and do something about it, I don't know what will. I did just see a video of when they tried to raid that farm in California.
Yep.
There was a whole bunch of people really trying to stop it. They tried to block the car with the road. There was a bunch of people throwing rocks at the ICE car. The ICE officers, they brought in a freaking helicopter for some reason to land it on a farm. Like, it's very disturbing. And, I'm curious what you guys think. Who is more driving the car? Because every now and then Trump will say, like, we're going to protect the hotel workers. We're going to protect the hotel workers. We're going to protect, he has like 2 or 3 different types of immigrants that he's seemingly nominally okay with. But then, like, the same day or the next day, there will be a massive raid on the facilities that he said we were going to protect those immigrants, which makes me feel like Stephen Miller is actually the one
100%
calling the shots, and driving the car,
He's outsourced domestic policy, I think, functionally to Stephen Miller, and
I'm not convinced he has an outsourced foreign policy too. I mean, if you look at that signal chat with that leaked in terms of that strike against the Houthis, it was Stephen Miller who came in and said, the boss wants this done. When there was a question, he was the one who came in and everybody deferred to as to whether we were going ahead with that attack. And so I think it is Stephen Miller, and I don't think Trump cares, frankly.
No,
because he knows he can go out and say this stuff, and it makes him even look even better. Like, we'll get to the Epstein stuff, but I think it's Stephen Miller for sure. But regardless, it's Trump. I mean, it's Trump. Yeah. It's Miller. At the end of the day, it almost doesn't matter. It's really just more why would people listen to what Trump says as opposed to like the observable truth that exists every day. Yeah. Because this guy does, he talks out of his ass. He'll say anything at any given point.
It's amazing how not only how evil they are, but also how incompetent they are. Crystal was just telling me that there were 2 different teams that were sent to negotiate with Venezuela. And the teams didn't know that there were other people from the U.S. government representing the Trump administration negotiating with Venezuela. So they had 2 separate deals they were working on. And then I guess they figured out eventually, like, oh, wait, only one of us is supposed to be doing this. You saw this with Hegseth, too, when Trump temporarily cut off the weapons to Ukraine. Apparently, Hegseth made that call. And then now Trump stepped in and is resending the weapons. It's like, not only are they evil, but they're also completely and utterly incompetent. And it's like, it's just so scattershot how they're approaching governing.
Yeah, and it's in part because they're responding to the whims of somebody who's absolutely out of his mind. And like, I think in terms of him outsourcing policy to Stephen Miller like this, you have to wonder if he's begun. We know he knows he's lying regularly, but he has to start to believe some of his own spin because there's nobody around him that's telling him anything different. I mean, when he goes out and says we're not cutting Medicaid. And right. the big ugly ass bill just destroys the program. It destroys it. Like, how do you explain that disconnect? It's either just basically his complete insanity and disconnect from reality, or he's surrounded by a bunch of conspiracy theorists who give him false information that gets him to believe and work backwards from his conclusion.
I think he's so used to lying that it's like lie inflation. The lies get like more and more absurd to the point where he's telling people like it doesn't cut Medicaid at all. You got to protect Medicaid. There was a report that he was talking to House Republicans telling them one thing you never do is cut Medicaid. And this was at the same time he was pitching the big, beautiful bill, which destroys Medicaid. And so it is so hard for me to wrap my mind around this. I mean, I say this on my show all the time. If the Republicans say they're going to do something good, they're lying. They're going to do something bad. If they say they're going to do something bad, they're telling the truth. They're going to do that bad thing. That's what it's become now.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Democratic leadership because the polling, you're right, the polling, and there's a new poll out from Gallup. 30% say immigration should be reduced. That is down from 55% last year. It is a 25-point shift on whether immigration numbers should be reduced. 79% say immigration is a good thing for the country, which is an all-time high. 17% say it's a bad thing. That's an all-time low. And that has changed. It was in 2024. I mean, that's gone up by like almost 15 points in the past year in terms of whether immigration is a good thing. Allowing immigrants, essentially DACA, to stay in the country, shot up by only about 4 points, but that's at 85% approval. Allowing immigrants to get a path to citizenship is at 78%. Significantly expanding the border wall with Mexico, 53% in 2024, now down to 45%. Deporting all immigrants who are living in the United States illegally back to their country, 47% in 2024, 38% in 2025. Like you say, this has been with not a Democratic Party that is just AWOL on this issue. They have been chasing the Republicans. Like their argument is, we're going to do what they're doing. It's just going to be, you can trust us more. There is no immigration policy that the Democrats have that is articulable in contrast to the Republican policy, because it's basically the same thing, just being more polite about it.
And I just want to add one more number to this, because I think it's really important. On Trump specifically in Gallup, it's 35% approve of his handling on immigration specifically, 62% disapprove, and 45% disapprove strongly. Those are incredibly hard numbers of disapproval for him on this issue in particular. There you go. Yeah.
I can't tell you the last time I've heard Democrats make a positive affirmative case for immigration, which is like really not that difficult a thing to do. I mean, the economy absolutely needs it. If you just mass deport 4% of the population, the economy absolutely implodes. In my experience, these are some of the best people that are in this country. They work hard. They take care of their family. They're incredibly polite. They're law abiding. You know, the numbers are what they are in terms of their criminals at a much lower rate. These are like very basic things, and I never hear the Democrats say it, which means that the public has moved on this solely as a result of the horrors of the pictures and the videos that are coming out of the military invading LA and ICE harassing innocent people with masked thugs. By the way, why are they wearing masks? They're wearing masks because they know fundamentally what they are doing is illegal. What they are doing is immoral. And so I got to say, though, my feeling on this is that I'm kind of pissed overall because, I look at it like, you guys didn't know Trump was going to do this? Like, you didn't know Trump was going to do this. It always was going to be as ugly as it is. I mean, they were holding up mass deportation now signs at the RNC. Trump was out there saying, they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the pets. That was in reference to legal immigrants, legal Haitian immigrants. That was the sign, hey, we're not just going after gangsters, we're not just going after criminals. By the way, that's not a novel idea. Any president of any party wants to go after, violent criminal undocumented immigrants first. And so it's sort of like, I'm kind of frustrated. It almost reminds me of this, like Rogan's been doing this too. Like, can you believe that they're going into Home Depots and taking people out? Yes, I can. How did you not see it? So I almost want to shake these people back to reality, but at the same time,
they got their tax cuts. They got their tax cuts, True. And now they've grown a conscience about this kind of thing.
I think. No, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Sam.
Well, the thing that frustrates me here is that you see Trump's numbers cratering on this. You see the American public shifting their perspective on this, and what political party is situated to benefit from this?
Right.
You would think it would be the opposition party, but no, there's nowhere to land here. I mean, it's fascinating. You're just basically like, it is such an abject failure on the part of Democratic leadership to articulate a position. There is such a fear on this topic. And we have seen last time that Trump was in office, and then it changes because the Democrats don't have any type of pushback on this. This is frankly, I'm quite convinced it's, we're going to see the same thing with trans opinion polling as well. When there is an absence of an opposition party's position that is actually trying to litigate against this, you're not always going to be winning on every single day. But at one point, because it's the right thing, you're going to win ultimately, but they're not positioned to benefit from the cratering of this stuff. It just makes them look weak, which is, if you start to look at like the polling on the Democratic Party, you'll see stuff like too woke or something like this, but you will see weak. You will see weakness. And this is a lesson the Democrats, have not sort of absorbed from like, when Bill Clinton was like, strong and wrong is better than right and weak. And, but right and strong is also even better than that.
Right. That's the best case scenario. It's crazy to me because Democratic elected officials seem to think that polls are like this stagnant thing that can't change, that you need to like sort of hop on and ride the wave. But Republicans look at polls and think like, oh, we could just bulldoze ahead, make a bunch of arguments, double down on it, and move the poll numbers in our direction. And it really speaks to, a fundamental core of not really believing in much or caring that much. Like, I think Trump and Stephen Miller actually genuinely, sincerely despise immigrants. Like, they are truly, in their core, they are white nationalists. And I think a lot of Democratic politicians, I mean, they're fine with immigrants, but fundamentally they don't care. They're not going to like go to bat for them. They're not going to like make a strong argument for them. And that's where you have this vacuum that is filled with the right, whether it's Republican politicians or right-wing media is amazing at this, where they all get on the same page and have the same talking points and push them out there. And you just don't see that mirrored on the Democratic side. It's more like hands off and almost like let Trump hang himself, which, to be fair, works to some extent, but it would work a lot better if, as he's hanging himself, you also clobber him over the head with a sledgehammer.
Yeah. Well, it also would create some durability if you do win in those instances, because the next day Trump is elected out of office, people are looking to like, what's your policies? And we're like, well, it's sort of like what Trump's was. But the thing about the polling is interesting because this has been around for a long time. During the Bush administration, there was a journalist, I think his name was Ron Susskind. It escapes me at the moment, but I think it was Ron Susskind, who was interviewing a lot of like Bush officials. And one of them said to him, like, your problem is you're part of the reality-based community. And the idea being that like, you feel like you're constrained by, what people's perspectives are now. We create our own reality by pushing forward. Now, some of that can be completely insane, but the idea that, but the fundamental premise that people's perspective on things fluctuates and is contextual, and it can move with new information or a reiteration of old information. It's like the Democratic Party doesn't believe in that, or for some, it's, I don't know. I just don't want to contest on that level, but you don't always get to choose what issues you want to contest on. You're the opposition party. You got to contest on it. But you were making this point too about these guys, Rogan, like I had no idea they were going to be doing this. And these voters who are like, what? I thought it was just going to be criminals who get thrown out. This notion of like of that Democrats are running from what they perceive as wokeness and running from like immigration rights. I'm convinced that in the polls that a lot of those guys, the men that the Democrats are so worried about, the white men they're so worried about losing or having lost, when they say woke, they're just saying weak. Like they're just like, weakness is what I think people are responding to. The Democrats don't seem to stand for anything, and don't seem to stand for things that are even marginally considered unpopular.
Yeah, and I think at this moment, what we're witnessing is a massive vibe shift where now it's no longer cool and edgy to be pro-Trump. And so the Democrats are sort of reaping the rewards of that without even having to say anything or do anything, because Trump is, of course, hanging himself on the Epstein stuff and bombing Iran and all these different things. And so now everybody who was riding hard for Trump before the election, they look like the rubes that they are. And so that's why you're sort of seeing, and I know you want to get to this in a minute, Sam, but you're sort of seeing a U-turn among, the pod bro sphere.
Oh, yeah. Let's play this clip. Let's play this clip of, what do we have? Schultz, right?
Yeah. I mean,
now at least he had the, and this is a function of like, it seems like the Epstein stuff was the straw that broke the camel's back, which is just, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, let them fight. And if I can throw fuel onto that fire, I will do it. But That's the thing that you feel betrayed upon. Here's Schultz is the latest of these type of sort of like manosphere broheims who have decided that they're no longer on Team Trump.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? We have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep?
So we're stupid. Yeah. we're the fucking idiots, guys. That is, I think, what is enraging people right now is it's insulting our intelligence. Like, obviously the intelligence community is trying to cover it up. Obviously the Trump administration is trying to cover up. Something changed because they ran on this idea of exposing it all. All these guys had great ideas. Cockeyed Cash, Dan
He had clips, dog. He had bars.
He was ready to tear it all down. He was ready to tear down the entire FBI office.
Shut down the Hoover building day one.
Day one.
Them bitch still standing.
And then he goes on Joe Rogan and he's like, listen, do you think if I had it, I wouldn't share it with you?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
I do believe that 100%, especially when you're staring at me like this, telling me that. Once you protect pedophiles, you are the most cockeyed person in the entire world.
So one of two things, in my mind, is it possible. One, you're covering it up. Or two, nothing really happened and you exploited the rape of thousands of children to get your man elected. So which one do you want here?
Okay, go into 15. I want to play 15 and 16 too, because 16 is where he's basically like claiming like, I didn't vote for any of this.
Here's 15 then.
15's good because this backs up your point, Sam, about how when they say woke, they mean weak. Andrew Schultz here basically says there's some people in the Democratic Party, or at least associated with the Democratic Party, who he doesn't think are weak, or they put America first.
The only party right now that to me seems America first is the Democrat Socialist Party.
Yep.
Bernie is America first. Mamdani and all his ideas that he will not be able to execute, and I frankly think many of them are not good ideas, but he is no doubt New York first. The policies seem to want to help people here. That's what I care about. If MAGA wants to take this America First thing back, they got to start looking out for America, and it doesn't seem like they're doing. Lying to Americans is not America First. There is one lie, which is Epstein did not have a blackmail ring on all these very influential people. And by saying that that didn't happen, you have to tell a lot of other little lies. Every one of them just pulls a little piece of thread away from the fabric. And we're starting to see right through right now, and it's just embarrassing.
Okay, let's just play this last clip. I mean, as the sort of like end the saga here. But let's play it. We'll talk about it.
I feel very value-tained, I gotta say.
People that like, they'll DM me and be like, you see what your boy doing? You voted for this. I'm like, I voted for none of this. He's doing the exact opposite of everything I voted for. Yeah. I want him to stop the wars. He's funding them. I want him to shrink spending, reduce the budget. He's increasing it. It's like everything that he said he's going to do, except sending immigrants back.
Okay, so
what is that even? Of course they're deporting. What is he talking about? They're deporting massive numbers of people.
Oh yes, no, he's saying that's the only thing that he has actually done that I am glad that.
Okay.
Which is ironic because somehow Joe Rogan didn't get that message, but Schultz did. But I mean, part of the problem with like coming up with the left's Joe Rogan is that people who do this on the left actually spend the time to understand what they're talking about. And they can't just go out there and say shit that is absolutely bat crap, crazy and inaccurate and stupid because they know better. And it's, I mean, I don't know. I have to revert to like junior high to get to that level of sort of miscomprehension of what's going on. And that's just, I'm just giving them the benefit of the doubt that they're not just bullshitting.
So I would describe Schultz and all the people in this like podcast space, the Rogan sphere, I guess you could call it. They are first and foremost wave riders and what I call narrative humpers. And what happened was basically like to put it simply, they're grifters. And so the vibes have now shifted so thoroughly against Trump that they feel like, well, we got to sort of go where our audience is going. Because I don't know if you guys experienced this. I've certainly experienced it. There was a time where you scroll through Twitter and it's nothing but right-wing slop all day long. And now you scroll through Twitter and everything I see is some left-winger or some liberal just absolutely hammering Trump over the head. There's way more memes and funny memes now on the left than there are on the right. Clearly, Trump has, destroyed this country in just 6 months with every horrible decision. He hasn't done a single thing that's positive, and that's all catching up. So now, like, the vibes online are definitely anti-Trump, and they're now realizing, man, we hitched our wagon to this guy, and he's taken us all down. So they feel like they have to shift in order to keep some credibility. So, but here, the other thing you got to look out for is this, though. And we've already seen this with Alex Jones and Rogan himself and many others, is like, they say this now, but what are they going to be saying in a week? What are they going to be saying in 3 weeks? The second Trump gives them some other BS head fake where he says something that they like the way it sounds, all of a sudden it's back to, he's the anti-establishment guy. Maybe he's actually going to deliver on some of this stuff. I mean, Alex Jones did a 180 on the Epstein thing where he was saying, actually, it was Biden and the deep state. They actually destroyed all the Epstein files. Day one, he was crying and puking over Trump betraying him. Day two, it was like, actually blame the Democrats. It's the Democrats who got rid of it, and it's not Trump at all. And so that's the other thing you have to watch out for with these charlatans.
Emma's made the point that Schultz had a clip where I can't remember what context.
Yeah, well, he said like why he was supporting Trump, and this backs what you're saying about the narrative humpers and the vibe, like, oh, because the Republicans fuck, like the Republicans fuck now, and like the Democrats used to fuck, and now the Republicans are the ones with the. He was like, Trump has multiple baby mamas. It used to be Bill Clinton that was having, and it's like, can you? Your middle school brain, just take another step and think like, are you applying a different standard to the female candidate in the race? Like Kamala was being hit over the head for being a slut. They were calling her a slut right out of the gate. And these guys don't even think for a second, like, am I applying a double standard here?
Yeah, it's like you said, it's like middle schooler brain. It's totally unserious. And the other thing is, at one point he says there at the beginning, like, "Oh, we're the idiots," and my response to that is, "Yes, you absolutely are the idiots," because they were like, we were screaming from the top of our lungs for so long before the election. You guys do know Trump's in the Epstein files, right? You do know that we have audio tape of Jeffrey Epstein saying he was Trump's best friend for a decade. There's over 30 sexual assault allegations against Trump. Him and Melania first had sex on the Lolita Express. This was all reported. We know all of this. He's been on the jet 7 different times. There's countless pictures of him with Epstein. Michael Wolff has described in disgusting detail pictures he's seen that Epstein had of Trump with girls of an uncertain age. We talked about all of this. I was screaming about
Alex
this.
Acosta, his labor secretary, was the one who made the deal to have Epstein basically walk from all of those in Florida.
So these guys, what do? They just go with the vibes. The vibes were high. The vibes were pro-Trump before the election, so they hop on that bandwagon. And then the people who were correct all along, we were telling them all along and warning them, and now all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait, turns out we misread the situation. Yeah, and give credit to the people who were correct all along.
It is fascinating to me, too, though, that that so much of, and we see this across the board. I mean, even, within the context of the what's her name? Batatas. I can't remember.
Batya Unger Sargon.
Yes, who was pounding the drum about how Donald Trump is a true populist, and and then of course this bill gets passed, and she is out there now, like her entire premise about this so-called populism could not have been more destroyed. Like I don't think there is a single piece of legislation that has passed in my lifetime that is 180 degrees away from populism. You have dispossessed 17 million low-income people from healthcare. You're going to cut Medicare as well, which is going to dispossess more low-income people. You are dispossessing millions of people off of food assistance. You are pushing a massive upward redistribution of wealth to the wealthiest in this country by all of the tax provisions. I mean, there's no other bill that is greater. And here she is now just looking to the real problem, the real expression of populism is to attack immigrants.
That's exactly right.
Here we have a clip of this.
Oh,
Look
my
at
bad.
this.
Sorry. Go ahead.
narrative on the left that they're taking jobs that Americans will not do or don't want to do. And it's absolute nonsense. There's not a single industry in the United States that's done by a majority illegal migrant labor. The highest rates are about 30% in agriculture, which means 72% of people working farms are American citizens. And it is just so disgusting to say these are jobs that are beneath an American. Turns out Americans don't think that. When you have mass deportations and a closed border, employers have to pay more wages. And guess what? Americans are happy to take those jobs. You look at the 1970s.
Let's just stop. Let's stop here for a second. I don't know that woman's ever been on a farm in her entire life. There is no doubt that there are, 70% of the farm workers may very well be, American citizens. But I got news for you. They are not out there picking almonds. They are not out there picking peaches. Play this clip that we have from some farmers who were asked about this in the wake of these deportations and detentions.
Keith Smith says most immigration workers left after the law took effect, so this potato farmer hired Americans. Problem is, he says, most show up late, work slower, and are ready to head home after lunch. Some even quit after just one day out in the field.
There's a Hispanic man that works for us, and I say, he's 52, and he'll make anywhere from $70 to $100 a day. I said, if you can keep up with him and do a good job, you can make that. But they're not physically in shape to do it, and probably not mentally tough enough to do it. Some of them.
I mean, look, the fact of the matter is if you come from a farming community in Mexico and you have been raised in that environment, this type of work is not as it's incredibly challenging, but it's not as challenging because you're experienced at it. I mean, this is it is fascinating to me that this is like even remotely controversial. It's possible in a couple of generations we could go back to where we have more sort of farmers, particularly ones that are going to work on these sort of huge farms. There are rural areas in New York State where there's a lot of farming in Hudson Valley. But these aren't massive farms. These are local farm type of situations. But this whole right populism just evaporated 2 weeks ago. And the only thing they have to sort of push back on Trump now is he didn't release the Epstein files.
It's incredible. Batya, you know how Trump has those hats that say Trump was right about everything? We need to make hats that say Batya is wrong about everything. Because her whole thesis, and she's been screaming this for a year now, is that Trump is the true populist and the Democrats are the true elitists. And I did a video on this a while ago before the election, I think, laying out this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Because if you look at his record, he killed increased overtime pay for millions of people. He killed the $15 minimum wage for federal contractors that Biden had put into place. He got rid of that. He opposes the PRO Act. He opposes minimum wage increases. He destroyed the CFPB. He outsourced 200,000 jobs in his first term. In his second term, he already killed 115,000 jobs by killing some of the Biden legislation like the CHIPS Act. I mean, now, of course, as you pointed out, Sam, he cut Medicaid massively, where 16, 17 million people are going to lose their health care. This also effectively cuts Medicare, the big, beautiful bill, because it forces a sequester because it violates PAYGO. And so on every front, you could give me, honestly, and I mean this, the worst Democrat, the worst one you could think of, Manchin, Sinema, whoever, way more populist than Trump and any Republican. I mean, look at Josh Hawley, who he was, we really can't cut Medicaid. That's a horrible idea. We should definitely not cut Medicaid. Then immediately turns around and votes to cut Medicaid. Right-wing populism is not a thing. It is completely and utterly fake. There was a time where you could maybe make an argument that, hey, if they mean what they say, then maybe, but we are the results are in. We've had so long now to actually test whether or not they mean it, and they don't. I will grant them that Thomas Massey, there's a libertarian strain on the right, like with Ron Paul every now and then he fucks the party.
There is a guy, and I got news for you. Thomas Massey does not care about cutting people off of Medicaid.
Oh, no. Yeah, the libertarians are horrible on economic policy.
Anti-war, and he may have a principled decision about, like, sort of like, we shouldn't increase the debt, which I also think is a completely, like, the idea we shouldn't increase the debt in an inefficient way that does not invest in the country, but rather allows private individuals to sort of like reap the benefit of deficit spending. But Ron Paul said on a stage, if that guy doesn't have health insurance, they die on the street. That's what's happened.
Right. That's right. No, the point that I was making is that there is only one 99% of the Republican Party, especially the elected officials, are MAGA, full stop. It's a cult. They'll go wherever Trump wants them to go. The 1% that does buck him every now and then are not the populist right, because the populist right is fake. It doesn't exist.
No.
There's a libertarian strain that on some issues, some of the time, will maybe cut in a different direction. But the point you're making is also correct, which is libertarian and populist is not the same anyway. Libertarians are the worst on economics because they want to get rid of the entire social safety net. But my point is, people need to wake up to the fact that the whole idea of the populist right is a scam. It's completely fake. They just lie, and then they turn around and vote like any George W. Bush era neocon free marketeer.
Yeah, well, I mean, Josh Hawley's state, right? He's the senator from Missouri. I'm not making that up, right? It just came out today, this story, that the Republican governor, it's official, has repealed the paid sick leave ballot measure that was voted on by upwards, close to 60% of Missouri voters in the fall. And they just basically, it would have helped over 700,000 private sector workers. And despite the fact that voters voted for it overwhelmingly, and it was taken to they tried to fight it in the state Supreme Court, unanimously upheld it, the Republican governor is doing away with it. Like, this is, when we talk about our democracy, I can't think of a more undemocratic action, and that happens from the Republican Party. That's the Republican Party, and it's not MAGA. It's not like Hakeem Jeffries just keeps giving these quotes, calling them MAGA extremists. Would this governor be a MAGA extremist? Because, I mean, he's not like right under Donald Trump. No, he's just a Republican. So call them Republicans. It's insane.
Yeah, except the Lincoln Project guys are now apparently like loving Che Guevara. I don't know if you guys saw that video that they released.
No.
Some of the never Trump Republicans, it's kind of amazing that some of the never Trump Republicans have now just morphed into like very aggressive leftists somehow. So that's the only thing that gives me some hope. But in terms of, the elected officials, they're the same as they ever were, except if anything, they're just worse. And they've now mastered the art of just lying. It's almost like they realized within the last decade that like we could just say the opposite of what we do and kind of get away with it because nobody's going to call us on it and the media is not going to hold us accountable. And that's what they do. The whole party is built on lies. They are a fascist robber baron party, and they just lie as part of the program.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's, getting back to what you had said earlier about Trump saying one thing and Stephen Miller doing another, or the bill doing another. I think he just realized, like, I should just say the thing that is going to be received the best and let other people figure out what the reality is of it. I don't even know if he even thinks that much about, I don't think that calculation that I just walked out actually goes through his mind. I think he's just like, I know not to cut Medicare or Medicaid, so we're not cutting Medicaid, even though it has no relationship to what they're actually doing. I just don't think it matters to him. Like he said today, we had a clip of him saying, like, a year ago, nobody was talking about America. Now we're hot. We're the hottest country. And it's true. There's probably a lot of people going like, hey, we should not deal with America anymore. Or, hey, America, we're no longer going to follow their policy. Or, we're going to look to China to, establish the, but it is true. If you look at a word cloud, America may come up more often than it did a year ago. Kyle Kulinski, real pleasure. We will, of course, put links to both the Kyle Kulinski Show and Crystal Kyle and Friends in our podcast and YouTube description. We could do this for another 6 hours, but I don't have that time. I got it, or the energy.
I hear you, man. Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it. It was fun.
Yep.
All
Thanks,
right,
Kyle.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to have folks from this space. Ben Dixon, Andrea Rovenski is going to be here, the Letterhack, and more. It's a new project these folks have going. Want to tell you about it. We'll be right back after this.
Whoa.
Live.
Wow, there we go.
Look at that. Wow.
Very excited to have. Well, first of all, I think this is the biggest or the largest sort of like number of people we've had on the stream ever. Although I'm not sure in their own sort of boxes. But that said, that's sort of the nature of this space. Want to welcome back to the program Ben Dixon and Matt Strackbein, the Letterhack, folks might know him as, and Andrea Rovenski. Welcome, guys. Thanks so much for coming here. Ben, why don't you start? What is this space?
This space is the brainchild of Matt, Andrea, Dave Grossman, and I got brought in to be a part of it. It is a worker-led, worker-class co-op, media co-op. It is a solidarity across silos. It's really a place where voices can stream and speak to the issues that matter the most to us, people who are getting off work and cutting on the camera and streaming. It's one of the most diverse groups I've been a part of. We've been going on strong for multiple weeks now. It's really great. I think Matt will have so much more to say about it, but I just have to say it is the place that a lot of us have been dreaming about for some time, getting progressive voices together to stand up at a time. I think it's most important for us to be standing in solidarity, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Matt, why don't you, like, what was the impetus for this? How much of it was creator focused and how much was it like audience focused?
It's both, actually. That's a great way to phrase that question, because people know that I come from the viewership community. I watch all the shows. Sometimes I watch a whole bunch of them at once. And one day, I was sitting there looking at my my YouTube homepage and all the different channels that I was subscribed to, and I kept thinking, like, why can't this just be one channel? Because when you're done with the YouTube video, they'll send you anywhere. Like you could just end up at some right-wing show. You don't know. So I started asking around, has anyone ever had the idea to put together like a collective, like one channel where everyone was there? Like a lot of people will just leave CNN on in the background. Like, why don't we have something like that they could leave on in the background instead of the mainstream media, and get some legit speaking truth to power and some real commentary from the independent left. And I started asking around, and people said, yeah, great idea. Good luck. A lot of people have tried it, and it's not easy to pull off, and few people have been successful with it, and it always ends up failing. Along the way, and of course, that wasn't enough for us to back down. And so we started planning. I brought in Ben's producer, David Grossman, my frequent co-host, Jake Draugelis from What You Can Do, Andrea, and then Ben. And I started asking, like, let's just figure it out, right? And we came up against a lot of hangups that would mean failure, but only in terms of like doing it for profit. But we weren't doing it for profit, so we could just keep going. And the more we planned and the more we talked about it, the closer we got to the point where we could bring in other people. And so that's when we decided, look, this really is about content creators and giving people a platform and showing that we have strength in numbers. But a point that I often make, and I'm not the only one, but I do it as much as I can, is that the online left isn't just made up of content creators. It's the subscribers, the viewers, the followers, all the audience. And if we can merge our audiences and we can bring that shared audience to a more consistent engagement, then the possibilities are really unlimited. And the potential for this platform to do things beyond infotainment or just, having a news show or whatever is greater than we can at the moment perceive.
Well, we're looking right now, I think a lot of folks are, for solidarity networks, especially in the wake of these immigration, or not in the wake, in the midst of these horrific immigration ICE raids. Do you foresee this space being a place where people can share resources and come together in that way as well?
Basically, yeah, we want it to be like an organizational apparatus, right? We don't want it just to be like, here's a couple streamers you're watching, when you just want to watch some streamers or whatever. We want to bring people information, calls to action, give people resources. You want to reduce the friction as much as possible between the viewers and actually getting something done. And when we're all putting our energy together, we can get that stuff out as soon as possible, even quicker than if we're all on our own doing the same thing over and over by ourselves.
So, Andrea, tell us, like, logistically speaking, or just experientially, if I go to the channel, and it's youtube.com/this space, is it?
Our website is thisspace.tv. It's got all our links there. Our YouTube is also This Space TV.
Okay. And so what do I see? Like, walk me through a day on this space.
Well, right now we're only streaming on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We're starting at a reasonable amount. We want to eventually do 7 days a week if we can get there, 24 hours a day. But if we start out that right away, we're just gonna fall apart. We're gonna fail. And I personally am looking forward to failure, but maybe in a couple decades. So right now is a Friday, so you can go look at videos. I think we're premiering a new video today. We're trying to put clips out there, some original stuff on the weekends, but primarily we're live pretty much all day on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at the moment. So if you go there right now, you can subscribe and wait until Tuesday, or you can watch the previous live streams or watch some of the clips, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Matt, tell us, like, live. Okay, who's live? So if I show up on Tuesday at 9 a.m., is there somebody streaming all day? I mean, how does it work?
It's basically like a baton pass, like every hour someone else will pass it. Someone else will do it. We have syndicated material too. So if, someone can't fill a block, we can play someone else's videos. Some of that's, stuff that you've seen before on YouTube. Some of it's stuff that maybe you've never seen before. And it's also, there's an element of surprise. You never know what's going to happen. Anything could happen.
Yeah, it's one consistent stream. We actually have people lined up to join us, and we're sort of pumping the brakes. We just did our 5th week, and we're very happy with the way it's going. We've run into every single logistical or technical glitch you could come up with. And we have a full-time producer behind the scenes. So the way we explain it, or the way we pitch it to creators, is we give you the race card, the racetrack, and the pit crew. All you have to do is sit down and drive. Give us an hour, give us 2 hours. People are already collaborating. People are already jumping on each other's shows. You might have a 2-hour block where we show the most recent episode of The Leftist Mafia. And then it's just an hour block of different David Dole, Rational National videos, or the Humanist Report videos. And then it's me for an hour. Then it's our weekly panel show, Left Past 10, with Andrea and I. And then it's Cosmopolitics, who you know from Movie Night Extravaganza. And then we're showing Movie Night Extravaganza. And it's Devil's Advocate Productions, who is Alex. He used to always call in to talk about leftist MMA, I believe. I don't know if you remember those, because he's a frequent caller of yours. Dr. Mark Allen Dreary is on, right? So we've got a whole big variety of content. It's syndicated. Sometimes it's pre-recorded, but exclusive to us. And of course, a lot of live stuff. And so it's always like, you can check out this space to find out about new creators, and then go to their channel and watch them the rest of the time. Or Ben, you can, cross-pollinate.
Ben, how is your audience? I mean, you've been doing this for a long time over the years, and you've been involved in a bunch of different types of networks and projects over the years. I'm curious from your perspective, A, what makes this different, and B, like, what's the reaction been from your audience?
Yeah. So what makes this difference, I think, is both the timing and the commitment, right? So there's so many people who are involved in this, who stream live, and they are as committed to doing this for the sake of it being done, right? There's been a lot of projects that I've been a part of over the years, and I've seen them fall apart because of money and ego. In this case, we haven't come across that, right? Maybe it'll show up, maybe it won't, but right now it's not there. What's here right now are streamers who are committed to solidarity, to progressivism, to actually help liberate people no matter where we find the oppressed. That's what they stand for. That's what they fight for. And it's so many different silos, right? Every community is represented. It doesn't matter like where you are or how you identify or what community you come from. We're there, and we have solidarity across all of those silos. And I think that's the most important thing right now. The biggest thing for the audience that I've seen is the initiative. The people in the audience are taking the initiative. Last week, they started a Discord for people to organize to do online pushback, not counter trolling, but that's probably the easiest way for people to visualize it. But it's a truth campaign where we are organizing ourselves. They initiated, and I jumped in because I want to be a part of that. And we're going across social media, and anytime we see a lie or anytime we see MAGA trolling or anything like that, we're bringing a response, a reaction to that, so that we can help counter the narratives. And that was initiated from the audience. And so I think that's the biggest change this year.
Oh, that's fascinating. And so, Matt, like what, I know it's a little bit early, but I imagine that you guys have, plans and a vision. Right now you're doing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday live. Is the idea 24/7? Is it like where does it go from here?
Yeah, that's kind of what we were thinking, is that it would be 24/7. We keep saying in our planning meetings that anything can happen with this space, and in this case, that's a very good thing. There's many avenues that we could try to predict we could go down, and and our expectations are continually met, and we have some pretty lofty ones. The main one being 24/7. We don't want to just air a replay of 10 hours of streaming, but we could. Not everyone is on the same schedule, so there's night owls who would benefit from that. But there's also people who stream all night long. It's more of a logistical challenge at the moment, and everyone's got to be. Our number one thing is that everyone needs to be as inclusive as possible.
Yeah,
and so there's sort of a vetting of. I wouldn't even call it vetting. We just sort of need to know who we're working with.
Right.
So and there's so many platforms out there that these people have reputations already. And so, we're building trust along the way, but that's also people building trust with us, that we're going to continue to optimize on their behalf, and that we're going to continue to promote them, all their platforms, how to support them monetarily. And so really it's like, it's not so much logistical, technical, and like from a business standpoint as it is building trust and solidarity with people on a regular basis, and trying to, have genuine relationships and not just people to fill a slot.
What we're trying to smoke out is to make sure that we don't have any anomalies born out of our project that go over and then end up on Megyn Kelly or Glenn Beck or, on the right. So that's the only thing. That's the only slow roll, is like, we really do want to get to know the creators before they come on. And I can just tell you, one for one, everybody that is on this platform already, like, they're solid. They're solid. And I'm proud to be like in the lineup. I come up after Jackson White, and then after me comes up Angry Ginger, and it's just the handoff and the camaraderie is really something to see.
Yeah, that's great. And I think, that part of the project is helped by you guys having a very clear, I think, and developed ideological grounding in this stuff. It is much harder to make sure that you're hiring or working with the right people if you haven't had that type of grounding. I mean, it happens. It happens from time to time.
Yeah.
Well, I guess what other you're on YouTube? Are you on like Twitch? Are you guys on Rumble? Rumble's been great for us. Matt, what's our growth been? I think we've gone from like 8 people watching to like 10, which is like a 20%
increase
growth. That's pretty good numbers. But we haven't gone.
What?
Matt's.
We're at 5 viewers today, so I guess we've got hit a little bit of a dip from our double digits.
The dip. Growth does not happen in a straight line.
Right.
But are you guys on? Other platforms, or is that something that you're going to roll out as well?
Yeah, we are going to roll that out. That's the plan. We're not taking baby steps. I mean, if you were in our position, you would see that we are definitely not taking baby steps. Like, this is a big project.
Honestly, just getting 5 people on this stream, that was like, I know how much, Matt and Brian and you guys had to, coordinate. I mean, it is not easy to do. If you have $500,000 to go in and create a movie studio and hire, or I should say, a professional studio and hire, pros at this, it makes it a little bit easier, but that's obviously, not the project. And it's out of reach for most of us.
We're very unprofessional for sure.
Well, we had like 10 people on during the New York primary recently. We had 10 people on screen at once. It was a blast. We had a great time. Now, the reason why we're starting out with YouTube is because that's the platform that we know the best between us. And when you go to another platform, there's new restrictions, there's new things that you can and can't say, and you got to take that into account. So one platform at a time. That's our plan.
Yeah.
Well, Andrea, Ben, Matt, really impressed with what you guys are doing. And wish you the best of luck. And we will obviously put links to this space, both the site and the YouTube channel Folks, go check it out. It's a great project. Really, I really hope it turns into something massive, both for your sakes, but also for the entire movement's sake. I really appreciate it.
Sam, can I say one last thing?
Sure,
Just
of course.
really quickly.
I don't think so. I think we're running out of time here, Matt.
I was asking Sam. When Michael Brooks passed away, there was some dialogue online about his personal desire to see a more united left. And a lot of people took that to mean the online left. Less infighting, less drama, more uniting around policy issues, campaigns, candidates, that kind of stuff. More positivity. And that very much inspires what we're trying to do with this space. And I wanted to just take a second to directly throw some shame to anyone who is supposedly on our side, on the left, on the online left, but only talking about the problems that exist, the problems we face, and not being solution oriented. I'm not saying this space is the solution, but it is a platform where we will develop solutions. And so I asked them to give us a chance. Otherwise, frankly, you're just bitching and moaning out into the void, and you could be with us instead.
At the Letterhack.
Give us some space, even.
There you go.
Very well done.
See, that name works on all levels.
All right, guys. Well, thanks so much, and good luck. And again, we'll put the links in our podcast and YouTube description and at majority.fm. We're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll probably head into the fun half.
Yeah.
Have a good show.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks so much.
Folks, just a reminder, you can support this show by going to jointhemajorityreport.com, but go check out this space. It's a great project. I really hope this thing takes off. And also, Just Coffee. JustCoffee.coop, fair trade coffee, hot chocolate. Use the coupon code majority, get 10% off. Matt, Left Reckoning. Or do you even know? You've been so deep in vacation mode.
Yeah, I mean, Left Reckoning, I wasn't there, but David Griscom had two guests, Ben Burgess for the post game for patrons at patreon.com/Left Reckoning, talking about the Zoran freakout, and I believe Bronco Marchitich on the first half, talking about Zoran's win as well. And David did a good in-depth segment on the flooding in Texas and the sort of ideology that leads to mass casualties and passing the buck. So check that out, patreon.com/Left Reckoning.
All right, folks. See you in the Friday afternoon fun half.
3 months from now, 6 months from now, 9 months from now. And I don't think it's going to be the same as it looks like in 6 months from now. And I don't know if it's necessarily going to be better 6 months from now than it is 3 months from now. But I think around 18 months out, we're going to look back and go like, wow. What? What is that going on? It's nuts. Wait a second. Hold on for a second.
The Majority Report.
Emma, welcome to the program.
Hey.
Matt.